JMOR Tech Talk Show, where we answer questions about technology, explain the way they should work, and why they don't sometimes. Well, hey, everybody, it's John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur here, and welcome once again to another fantastic episode of the JMOR Tech Talk Show. And it's always great to have my wonderful co-host here. Marcus, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, John, it's good to be here on another Good Friday.
It is always good to be here. You know what? I don't think it could be a Good Friday without the JMOR Tech Talk Show. I mean, it's become such a staple of my life that I live for this. I live for all the content I produce, but I just love being here with my faithful listeners, podcast listeners and viewers. It just makes me feel so great that people are enjoying this content. So we have some more great content coming for this show. And by the way, we have some great guests coming up in September. We took a little bit of a hiatus with guests with the summertime, with people going away and stuff. And just so you guys know, I read every single book cover to cover. I have like 8 or 9 books I haven't read yet for guests. And my policy is that I don't interview a guest until I've read the book cover to cover. I don't know too many hosts that do that, Marcus.
Oh, no, not at all. You know, like you are one of the few and the rare.
Well, you know, and I say, if you're going to send me the book, I'm more than happy to, read it and bring you on. But speaking about bring you on, have you been following the Olympics, Marcus?
Yeah, from time to time, I'm not catching much, but when I can, I can.
I catch some glimpses. I love swimming because being a Pisces, I love swimming and I love the diving. And I enjoyed watching, what happened with, the balance beams. I think it was amazing, what had happened and, all the things that are going on and the people that won the medals, the Olympic medals for the balance beam. I think what they did and all the things that they've been doing, Simone Biles, I have to really, hand my hat off to her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
She, amazing lady. I mean, they're all great people.
Yes.
But I have to tell you, people were saying when she did this, did she do this for a PR thing? And I have to say no. The way she came back and she told the story. I mean, people just, I don't know, Marcus. They're always looking to scrutinize you. They don't realize the pain or the challenges you're going through. They're always looking to say, well, he did it for this reason. She did it for this reason. They're like, come off it already, right?
Yeah, there's some people who get very misinformed and they'll run with their misinformation and their ignorance and really just not be sensitive or considerate.
So Simone Biles, like I said, what she did, yes, she did pull out, but I think what she did for the team, I commend her for that.
Yeah.
The fact that she came off the team, she didn't want to cause an issue, and she, by doing that, allowed someone else to actually get a medal, which I think was great in the U.S. side. And by doing that, she was able to show some respect to her team. And also, if she performed, she might have lost it, and it might have not gone to a U.S. person. So I think it was great, what she did, because it definitely helped with the scores and just her whole makeup and her whole attitude. And congratulations, Simone Biles, on, winning the bronze medal and really being able to achieve this, I think, is exemplary. And the fact that you didn't even expect this after the challenges you had and, the twisties. I mean, everyone has challenges when it comes to anything, whether it's athletics or whether it's life. You're to be commended because what you did and the way you, commanded that balance beam, I think it just speaks volumes of the type of person you are. And I know you went through lots of challenges with your family, and I'm very sorry to hear about that. But, we're all very grateful to have you representing the United States of America. I know I'm proud of having her represent us. And just her story just brings tears to my eyes.
Yes, indeed. Give her flowers now. Thank you.
Yes. So congratulations again to you, Simone. And so the Olympic 2020, it's actually 2021, but people have been asking me, John, why does it say 2020 on the screen? Well, that's because they didn't want to spend a few $1 billion to change the 2020 to 2021 because they had already planned the Olympics for 2020. Yeah. And they just couldn't have it last year. So that's why. So if you guys are wondering, well, no, they didn't make a mistake. It's just they weren't going to spend money to redo all that. And, there's a lot going on in Japan and Tokyo in the for the Olympics. Most people don't realize when we talk about sports, there's so much technology behind the Olympics.
Oh yeah, it's flooded with like technology and amazing technology at that.
Exactly. And the Olympic Broadcasting Service, for those of you that don't know, they had roughly more than 9,500 hours of content during these games. Now, if that's not impressive enough, the games were using more than 1,000 camera systems. Now, if you think that's interesting, you haven't seen anything. And 3,600 microphones.
Whoa.
3,600 microphones. I'm sure they're all wireless, but still.
Yeah.
I bet you some of them were probably in the venues, because a lot of them can't wear a microphone. So I bet a lot of them were in the venues and things like that. And also, when they went to speak, I think they probably had, something there. We really didn't see it, but I bet there was a mic just off camera.
Yeah, and I can even imagine some of the mics being in some of the sporting event areas as well. So to amplify the sound and immerse the audience in the event itself.
Yes, and I have something to share about that a little bit later in the program. We're going to talk about the audience and the technology, but something I thought that was really interesting. You've heard about live heart monitors and things like that, but one of the things that they did really, it was just breathless. They used technology, Marcus, to actually monitor people's hearts when they were doing the archery competition.
Oh, wow.
They were using basically what they call this new heart rate graphics on the broadcast of the Olympics. And so, this was amazing. It became the first sport ever to use biometric data, on its broadcast at the Olympic Games with the debut of the heart rate graphic in Tokyo. So when the person had the arrow in their hand, they pulled it back. You've all used Peloton or these other treadmills, right? Or other types of things. And how you can push your finger on it and you can get your heart rate. And if you hold it in the right place, takes a couple seconds and it's pretty accurate, with what your heart rate is. And then it can affect the program and whatnot. Well, they show a little heart symbol on the screen, and then they actually show the beats per minute. So when you pull that bow back, the arch back for the release, your heart's really pumping. And so we can see in the one graphic, 112 beats per minute when you pull that bow back.
That really reminds me of a video game, where it really puts you in the place of like what that archer is feeling. So I think that's really impressive, and kudos to what the Olympics did to incorporate that.
It's amazing. And the technology they're using to broadcast the live heart rates, because, not only are they transmitting it so they can actually see it for themselves, but they're also linking that to TV, which is not a major thing, but it's still something. They're able to it's another input. Us both being in production and video, we can understand that. And, when you have more inputs for a video signal, well, that can just muck things up a little more,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, just imagine like the extra precautions they got to take to ensure that everything's going correctly.
Yeah. And to make sure too, that they don't broadcast the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like maybe there's something that shouldn't be broadcasted. And so they have to do a lot of turning off microphones or turning them down and turning them up. So that's something that is interesting. But to be able to see technology for the body being used for something that can actually give us, like you said, a feel or a sense of the athletes, I think that's priceless.
Yeah, it's absolutely priceless.
Now, if that doesn't blow your mind enough, well, it had to get your heart pumping. No pun intended. There. They're using 4K cameras.
Oh yeah.
Now they had used them before, but here's the difference at this Olympics. They're using 4K cameras. They use them actually in some of the Super Bowl and the football games. They actually are doing something called the 360-degree angle view of the athletes, so they can get a pretty big glimpse in more than a bird's eye view of what the athlete's doing from multiple angles and very easily.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing, and they have some interesting things that they're doing. And what I think is great is they have something they created called the 3D Olympic tracking technology. And I want to quote them. It says, the Olympics broadcasting system said that Intel and Alibaba have teamed up to develop this new 3D athlete tracking technology powered by artificial intelligence and computer vision.
This is definitely a positive use of artificial intelligence and
absolutely. And the other thing that's really interesting is that when they shoot an arrow or when they dive, we were always able to stop a frame. Okay, but they're not only able to stop the frame, they're able to change the angle of the frame and re-show it from there.
Yeah, that's cool. And what that does is just heightens the entertainment value that you get from wanting to watch the Olympics. It really makes it just less. I think there was once upon a time you'll want to watch it, but then you get turned off because it's just like, oh, it's just same old, same old. But now this is really immerse you in the whole experience.
I agree with you. And I think the fact that we're able to use that for our athletes and to, give us the best data and to make sure they're healthy and things like that. I mean, we've been doing that for years to make sure they're healthy and monitoring them. But now we're actually making it part of the spectator's experience.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And they have a new type of clothing, Marcus, that they actually came out with. Ralph Lauren came up with it.
Cool.
And this new clothing that they wear, it's so Ralph Lauren clothing or polo, technology for the Olympics is really opening some eyes. So let me tell you a little about what it does. So this clothing is really interesting because it does, you have your they call it RL cooling technology. And they built it for the team they call the games of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. But again, we know it's 2021, but it's really 2020. So it's a state-of-the-art wearable technology, Marcus, that's self-regulating temperature cooling. And it's being worn by Team USA's flag bearer, during when they have the Olympic, Paralympic opening ceremonies and parades. And so Ralph Lauren developed this innovative system exclusively for Team USA.
Yeah, it's just like my uncle used to say, why not wear the clothing if you can't look cool while wearing it?
Exactly. So the RO cooling system is seamlessly integrated into the garment, and it disperses heat from the wearer's skin throughout a sophisticated device that monitors and optimizes temperature and uses the same technology to cool the world's most advanced computer systems that we know of today in data centers. The outcome, a cooling sensation that can be felt instantaneously and is long-lasting, even when heat is so unbearable.
Wow. I just got to wonder, is this something that's going to hit directly to consumers at some point?
I was just thinking about that too. Will consumers, be able to buy the RL cooling clothing? I don't know, because I don't know what the price tag is going to be, and I think they're trying. They call it the state-of-the-art RL cooling, and July 14th they actually announced that they would start making this clothing available, but they haven't gotten very specific about it. So it says they made it available for Team USA, but it's debuting, and I have to say that if they have this, why would they not want to do it for the rest of the world, right?
Yeah. It really sounds like they're still like they're kind of beta testing it with.
They're kind of beta testing it with Team USA, and I believe that if things go very well, it could have more of a future. So again, only the flag bearer is wearing the white jacket for the opening ceremony in Tokyo on the Friday. And so that was on July 23rd, for those of you who don't remember. And the parade uniform was designed by Ralph Lauren for other members of the team. And it had a navy blazer, which had a U.S. grown wool striped t-shirt, a striped t-shirt, excuse me. That's a printed scarf and a striped belt used by recycling plastic from water bottles. Slim denim pants, shoes, and they had light of the ongoing pandemic. They wanted to do that. And a mask made from U.S. grown cotton.
Oh, wow.
So the entire Ralph Lauren 2020 Team USA collection is now able to be purchased on the Ralph Lauren Team USA e-commerce platform. So they have rolled it out in select Ralph Lauren brick and mortar locations only. So you can actually go to it's called the Ralph Lauren Team USA e-commerce. And my question, Marcus, is going to be, how much do you think those things actually cost?
Ooh, I'm thinking that it's going to be a little bit pricey because, especially being something that's name brand, maybe in the upwards of like closer to like the 500 range or more.
Yeah. So remember, a lot of the people had this clothing, but they focused a lot on the flag bearer. But it seems like that's the one that they're giving all the I'm going to say the attention to. They have something called the Team USA Clothing Ceremony jeans. Okay. They're going to be just under $200, $195. You can get the Team USA Closing Ceremony polo shirt, $125.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay. You can get the Team USA Closing Ceremony jacket. You ready?
Okay.
You're sitting down now, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
$495.
Okay, 500. So like about $5 under.
Yeah, but they don't really say if it's truly cool technology. You know what I'm saying? They're not really getting into the details of it. It's saying that, it's the stuff that they wear, but I mean, the one that's $500 might be. I mean, they have the hat and some other things, but I don't really think this is the same. Everything the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's talking about the closing ceremony jacket and stuff like that. And it almost looks like he's an astronaut, the guy. So it's the Team USA Closing Ceremony jacket, but then you have to get the pants too, right?
Yeah.
So it's $500 for the jacket, ballpark. Oh, by the way, if that price is just a little bit, let's say, higher than you wanted to pay, you can just put it down in 4 payments of $123.75 at no interest. So you have to add the $495, and of course you got to get the pants, right?
Yeah.
So you're sitting at $700.
Yeah, that's just one outfit.
That's just one outfit, but it's going to say Team USA on it.
Yeah.
And remember, it's got recycled things, and I got to tell you, it's a real cool, I'd say sleek and sexy type look that I think is going to attract a lot of people because I've always loved polo. I've been a polo guy for many years.
Right.
And polo's kind of not changed.
No, it hasn't.
But with the Olympics, they did give a big change to the jacket. I mean, like the way they started adding some blue on. I mean, they really got a lot fancier. And then with the little stripes around the, let's say the cuffs and then the belt. Polo usually didn't do things that crazy. They were a little bit more reserved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I definitely check it out, and but I
have to look for a Groupon, right? Or a coupon on it.
Yeah, but I definitely like to email Ralph Lauren and ask, is this the cooling system?
I have to say it's not for that kind of money. I mean, it doesn't say, or it doesn't really state. I'm thinking they still got to do a lot more work on it. Mm-hmm. And in case you were wondering, so Polo is an Italian last name. I'm not sure if you know that, from Marco Polo in 1254 to 1324. He was an Italian trader and explorer. We learn lots of trivia on this show, not just technology. And so you probably asked me, hey, John, what the heck does polo mean, right? If you weren't into polo. Well, Polo was a boy's name. I remember Polo when I was in the pool. We always go Marco, yeah. Polo. We'd go looking for the other person. You close your eyes. And it was a boy's name of a Tibetan origin, meaning brave wanderer. So if the Portia could become a Porsche, then Apollo morphed into Polo. See how that works?
Yeah, see that.
And so the question comes is, where did polo, how did it all, like, where did the brand come from? Well, what happened was many years ago, back a long time ago, they would go on their horses, right? And they originally came up with clothing that was going to be very comfortable to wear for gentlemen while they were going to battle on the horses, and they were, becoming these knights of these big staves, right, to be very noble in society. So their clothing was not meant to be very stylish in the beginning. It was meant to be functional, but then it became more stylish, and it was really designed for basically the origins in Russia, where the Tibetan photo meaning the ball or the ball game. And this started in the origins of Persia, and it was a game that often had been associated with royalty, rich and the noble. And games played were by kings and princes and by queens in Persia. And so this is where the whole name of polo, this is where you see, people say, is the stick up, is the stick down. Well, if you're buying a stick down, it's not authentic. I'll tell you that right now. Right. Stick's got to be up. So that was the whole thing, because when, it was usually done for gentlemen, when they would go in and they'd be on their horses, it was the manlyhood. I mean, it was like, they were going to battle, and they had to have something that was comfortable, and they wanted something a little stylish. But I have to tell you, it's really evolved from the polo shirt that you literally leave out of your pants to the one that's tucked. I know when I wear mine, I wear it tucked in, but I always leave it draped out a little bit. So it's still tucked in, it has that neat look, but it's like draped out a little bit. And back then, this is something that was something to basically be, I'm going to call a male rite of passage. And they had to do this. It was kind of something they had to do to become a man. And so, this has been around for a very, very long time. And according to the Oxford Dictionary of the late antiquity, polo was known as the Kalgan in the Middle Persian, or the Shovgan. So it was a Persian ball game, and it was an important pastime in the court of the Sensation Empire in 224 to 651. I wasn't quite born yet.
Yeah, I don't think neither one of us was.
And just in case you were wondering, where did the, let's say, the horse polo first go? What introduced the horse polo? Let's talk about it in India. Well, polo was introduced into India by the Muslim conquerors in the 13th century. And this might have seemed interesting, and it was described by Sir Anthony Shirley, who traveled to Persia in 1613. So the first Europeans to play the game were the British tea players, my grandfather's from England, and who formed the first European polo club in 1859. Thus, the guys had to have something stylish, chic, sexy, and of course, very manlike, but comfortable to allow them to play with the other gentlemen in style.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize the history of polo, but it really had a big history, didn't it?
Yeah, that's a huge body of history, and gives you more appreciation for the brand. And the mention of rites of passage, it seems like it was a rites of passage even for us boys, with anybody, who wanted to be cool in school.
I found, well, when I was, this gets a little bit off topic, I'm taking a slight tangent. When I was in, I believe it was after my grammar school year, because when I was in grammar school, I went to a parochial grammar school, which you had to wear. I still remember this kind of an ugly, light blue shirt, which nobody would wear, and this gray plaid tie. And I remember up until fourth grade, nobody could tie a tie. So we had the clip-on ties. Then you eventually learned how to tie a tie in 7th or 8th grade or around that time, and then you started wearing the real ties. Or some people never did, and they kept wearing the regular ties. I always liked the clip-on ties. I'll tell you why. When you came back from gym and you only had so much time, if you're trying to do this tie and you're still learning as a boy to try to do this, you would never be on time for your class. So I just put the clip, ding, bing, ding, you're done, and that's it. And I'd see other people that have the other ties. I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't even bother. But you're right. When I got into, I'm going to say, well, really, when I was in grammar school, I was very into polo outside of the classroom. And that would be the polo shirts, the polo button downs, shirts, the polo pants. And I was like, it still had the logo. And even today, Marcus, I'm still like, well, does it have this logo? Does it have that logo? And I think it's not just the logo that I'm attracted to. It's the feel of the clothing. So yes, we buy for a logo. It's the quality of the clothing. It's the brand. Yes, it's kind of cool looking, but you've gotten very passionate about living your life in polo. Right. And I remember even having a polo bathing suit, and then you had the longer polo bathing suits. Like, well, was it polo? Well, those aren't on sale this week. Well, that's okay. I'll take one and say I want the polo. And and it kind of like made your life, and it was a passage because everything you did. And then I remember going somewhere, and you'd have the pants, and you'd wear something, and at first people say, or you wear a polo belt, like, wow, you got a polo belt, yeah. And it's like, and then if you like went somewhere, you didn't wear the polo, it's like, oh my God, it's like you showed up naked. You don't have a polo shirt on? Well, I just threw this Izod on. Oh my gosh, you're wearing. I said, well, Izod's still respectable. Yeah, but nowhere like polo.
Yeah, I heard that a lot too. So when I tried out an Izod shirt versus
it's Izod Lacoste, but it didn't have the same ring to it as Ralph Lauren polo.
Yeah.
And when you go to their stores, they're trying to help you as much as they can, and they walk around. They kind of, how can we help you? And they're just so like, and they're dressed in all the polo clothes. Yeah. So it's like, oh, did you want to wear something like I'm wearing, or did you want to try something like this? Or I remember even going to get a polo jacket, the light windbreakers, and I was like, I like that. It's a polo. I like the way it feels. I like polo, and I also like Tommy Hilfiger. I'm a Hilfiger. Those were the two that I always stuck to. All right, but getting off topic. So we're not trying to tell you to buy polo, but anyway, it was something that I enjoyed, and I was bringing it up because the Olympics. If they're listening, maybe they may want to be a sponsor for us. But I really do believe in polo a lot. But and they're not paying us anything to say this, by the way. No. I'm really bringing them up because I'm really impressed with what they're doing for the Olympics. Right. That's what brought this whole caveat up. Okay. So they're the only ones I know that are doing that. And maybe, hey, Polo, if you want to send me a jacket, send it to me. I'll be happy to wear it. I'll make one of those cool pieces of clothing. I would love to wear it and do an unboxing or a review on it. Anything is technology, right? It doesn't have to have a plug. It can have batteries. It can use. They didn't really tell us what kind of technology. They said it uses a device. So I gotta research more about that, Marcus. I'm not going to let that rest.
Yeah, that'd be
more about technology. If you noticed in this 2020 or 2021 Olympics, whatever you want to call it, there are no real spectators from other countries, just people from Japan.
Yeah.
So they didn't want any. And so how do you think they handle all the cleaning up of the javelins and all the other things they have to do? That's a lot of work for people, and cleaning up the field, collecting the javelins or getting things ready. How do they do that? Well, they have Olympic robots. And these robots, Miraitowa and Someity, were actually supposed to be, and they're by Toyota, and they were actually designed to be the mascots and the welcome agents for Tokyo, Japan's 2020-2021 Summer Olympic Games. But they decided to put them to other use, which was to help with maintaining things that are needed for the athletes, to provide them more support. And then, of course, they have other robots that do the cleaning up of the fields and stuff like that. So that's pretty amazing, Marcus.
That is.
And I know when I play golf and there's a device that goes and picks up all the balls, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
The robots are just becoming more and more a part of our culture. And, before long, you're going to see them like just walking down the street by themselves.
Yeah, we just got to make sure that it stays in check. And that if we want the orange one and they suddenly want the orange one too, like we can't have like another population.
No. Yeah.
Well, we know they're not going to use the restroom. They are going to use the gas station. We know that.
Right.
So that's going to be their beverage or their snack to get an oil lube or something. They might like to listen to music. Who knows? Because if they're getting programmed with artificial intelligence, the robot could want things.
Yeah.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, at some point.
We all saw that movie, right? Where the seniors had the robots and they had the big problem where they suddenly, they had this big beacon that got controlled and it blasted out this message to control the robots for them to become bad. And it kept everybody prisoner. And then the one senior lady, she just kept praying and she kept praying it was going to be fine. And magically everything was okay. And how can I help you? How may I serve you? And she's like, oh, thank you. So, we think about this stuff and I don't want to scare people, but these things are possible. And I want to talk about something else real quick, which is kind of a little off the cuff. We talk about things because our show has some format, but we always seem to go into things that we never know about. We're going to talk about until it happens. I was realizing that, in our world, there are technologies out there. Now, of course, I'm not going to educate people on how to do this because I don't want to cause an underground. But I don't know if you realize how easy it is to make a jamming device. And there are companies out there, Marcus. Again, I'm not here to give information on them, but they sell these devices that are under $10 or $15. And you go get their boards that are open source. You download their code, and they have these disclaimers that say, don't use this as a disclaimer because you can really muck some serious stuff up. You can jam an entire network with a little $10 board.
Yeah, very easy.
And they always say they're being used for R&D, but in some countries, Marcus, it's illegal to build a jamming device.
Absolutely
illegal. And there's another one out there. I couldn't believe this. It was like an underground, but it was on YouTube, and I was like, how do they allow this? And they're telling people that we're not going to tell you how to do it, but they're basically telling you because they're giving you their name and they're giving you their other website. YouTube's not blocking them. And you know what they're building? They're building something to hack a Wi-Fi network. Now, I was like, really? Download your own hack kit and you can pick what you want to deploy. But of course, don't do this on a network that you don't have permission to hack.
In other words, do it. Just don't say I told you to.
Yeah, make sure you have permission because you can get in some serious trouble for this. I mean, you launch this thing, Marcus, and in literally 5 minutes or less, you could be jamming everything in your area. Imagine doing that to a major network or a bank.
Or a hospital.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the Olympics.
Oh yeah, that's just terrible.
So that's a challenge. But so Japan also has some very other interesting things. I've never been to Japan. They have something you might have heard of before. It's called a vending machine. Now, we have them too in our country, which is no surprise. Yeah. But they have vending machines for almost everything you want to think about. So we have vending machines for the standard things that you and I would want to go buy every day. You can also go buy your cell phone from a vending machine. We've seen that in the airports. It's no big deal. But they have a vending machine that will literally make cotton candy while you wait.
Oh, wow.
And you can watch it. Now, we all know they have Dippin' Dots in the U.S., which is okay.
Yeah.
You pay for that. I think you get tired, though, of those dots because, I don't know, it's not like real ice cream, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah.
I like to pay to watch it. Or I remember going to the movie theater and I wanted this Good Humor bar. And I wasn't really in the mood for the ice cream as much. I wanted to see how the technology went down, opened the freezer, went down, caused an air suction just enough not to damage it, pull it up, lightly drop it down, and not damage it by using air suction to be the thing that holds it to the... I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, those moments to, just be immersed in those experiences, it really satisfies you a lot more than just be able to just pop it in and get it.
And I think, that's what we've talked about this before. People don't pay money for a product or a service. I don't know if you know this. They don't.
No, not at all.
They pay money for a solution or for an experience.
Yes.
That's really what it's about. So you're like, well, I went to this machine and I paid X dollars, or I went to this restaurant and, well, no, you didn't pay $50, $6 for dinner. You paid for the food, but you also paid for the ambiance, for the experience, for the you paid for all that. Mm-hmm. So they have machines in Japan that you can go to like get frozen food out of. I mean, that's no big deal. They have things where you can get fruit from a machine. I don't like the idea of getting fruit from a machine. I remember going somewhere and they had sandwiches in the machine. I was a little bit leery about doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful with like expiration dates and proper cooling, and so these things.
So they also have vending machines that will let you buy your scratch-off tickets.
Yeah, some that's
or your
very
lottery
common.
tickets.
Some that's very common in most states.
So they have something else that's really popular. It's called the polka dot Coca-Cola vending machine.
I wonder what that does.
Well, no, it's just a regular machine. It's called Yayoi Coca-Cola Kosiana. Don't ask me what that means. But the way they display the items in there, like the sodas, the other kinds of beverages that we don't have here in the U.S., very, very enticing. They have a Pikachu vending machine. They have an ice cream vending machine, which that's not that crazy. They have a toy dispenser gashapon machine.
Okay, so you get your souvenirs.
You get your souvenirs from the machine. And I guess that's saving people a lot of staff. They have one that I think is interesting. It's called the Buddhist Amulet Vending Machine. They have another one. You know when it gets wet outside?
Poncho.
No, they probably have that too. They have the umbrella vending machine.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's
and it's a circle. Looks almost like a missile. It's going to take off. You put your money in, and it just basically moves with it, and you can just unlock one of the umbrellas and take it out.
Nice. Yeah, so a lot of hands off.
They have an underwear vending machine.
That's useful.
I mean, from a vending machine, I guess in the middle of the night, cigarette vending machine, which we've had, but we kind of stopped that. They have unique soft drink vending machines. So it's not just about the machine, Marcus, but it's also about the products they're putting in these machines.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, if you've ever gone to Disney before. I'm not a soda drinker, as you know, but I wanted to taste different things when I went in there, and they have some of the worst beverages that you ever want to taste. Mm-hmm. And you always take a little sip, because I used to take a lot of, oh, I don't want to taste that. Oh, what that is. That's something. I was like, no, I don't want to taste that. And after I was tasting a couple, and then I went and tasted another, I was like, okay, I don't think I want any more of that. Let me just get some plain soda. And, I don't know who's coming up with the idea, Marcus, to make these products. I mean, when something makes you want to vomit, that's literally what happened when I was like at the machine. I was like, okay, I got to walk away from the machine now. I got to walk away. Just need some water. Just some water. That's all I want. Nothing else. So if you don't believe me, you could go to the cooling station. It's in, I believe it's in Epcot, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. There's like a cave you can go into. Not far from, I think it's right behind Spaceship Earth, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And you can go in there and literally you can get a beverage. Like you can get samples of the beverages. It's done by Coca-Cola. But so the products that they market in other countries, Marcus, they're different. What sells there won't sell here.
No, definitely not.
They have a wonton machine too. I don't know what you want to call it. It makes a wonton, like wonton soup. You can have it literally puts the bowl down, puts the thing in, makes the noodles for you while you're watching, and you can have a fresh soup from the machine.
Wow, that's pretty useful as well.
Yeah, I hate to see what that machine costs, but you think what they're doing though, Marcus, is they're getting rid of labor.
Yeah, that's quite. There's a lot of automation going on there.
A lot of automation. So there's no shortage in not only the technology of types of vending machines, but the products and varieties that they put in these machines. Google something interesting happening. Dark mode is coming for the Google Maps for iPhone. You're going to be able to change from day to night, something people have been asking for. And so that's going to be coming out soon, but just for the iPhone. To me, that doesn't appeal to me, Marcus. I don't know.
No. I mean, they're kind of past due on this. I agree. I'm not sure why they waited so long to even make this mode available.
It's very easy to do, and you have it in your car, and you have it on lots of things. You have it on your phone.
You already have it on your phone, yeah.
You have it on your phone, but you don't have it in the maps. You don't have it in Google Maps.
Exactly.
So they're going to make it a night mode. I don't know. I don't think it's worth, a big hurrah, but they are doing it. So in case you were wondering, it's coming out. And so there's something that leaked. It leaked out on the Google online store. Got announced by error, they claim. Google's online store, now an unannounced Nest security product appeared. So Google has leaked some unannounced Nest security cameras directly to its online store. Now, this isn't the first time that Google launched a new Nest device and pops on. This is not the first time they've done anything like this. Actually, I should say it's not the first time they've done it, but Google is basically, I think, going to be coming out with a new Nest device. I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah.
And Google has leaked this information, its own online store, and Google confirmed in January that it would launch a new line of security cameras this year. Mm-hmm. And it appears that the company store has just revealed what's on the way. So the new device is going to include a battery-operated indoor-outdoor combo Nest Cam, a reflector Nest Cam, an indoor wired Nest Cam, and a battery-powered Nest doorbell.
Do you think they might be a little bit worried about who's going to buy, and worried about are they going to measure up to their competitors?
I think so, but something interesting I found is that when I tried to click on the more info button and the buy links for these devices, the site took us back to the main Google Store's homepage. So I'm thinking, did they do this intentionally to get some, because Google's not stupid, and make it purpose just to kind of see what's going to happen to people clicking on it? Or did they intentionally screw up? I think it's the first thing. I don't think they intentionally screwed up.
Yes, it seems like a combination of the two. And like you said, Google's not stupid. And and they're big data collectors, so they know a story like this is going to get them PR, the free PR, free marketing, free data collection on who's going to be interested.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to keep an eye. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think Google's getting involved in so many things, Marcus, that they're looking. I was reading some other things today that they're looking to actually pay people money for certain things that they're doing online. So, I mean, it's just interesting that they're changing. I just wish they would stay in the business that they're in. If they're in information, they're in search, stay in your own Nest. Really, seriously, no pun intended. I feel like they just keep going all over the place. They remind me like that big company start with a C who I'll never do business with again. They basically just buy companies up left and right. And they don't care about how well they work. They just care about how much money is made.
That's true, and some of their smaller holdings, you don't see any innovation going on. They become stagnant after a while, and you go to some of these sites, they look the same as they did when they first purchased them or
absolutely
first rolled them out. For example, maybe I shouldn't even go there, but
that's all right.
Yeah, but if you look at their business productivity services, the site looks the same. They haven't did anything.
It does, and you know what they're doing is they give you this thing. If most of you don't know this, but if you want to let's say use an automation program and you want to use Google's address service, so that when you put in a form, it automatically finds it and gives you the location and converts it to the tags. They let you have 10,000 free a month. But you have to sign up for an account that's free and put your credit card in before you can use it. And when you reach 10,000, they start billing you per month.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a little wonky if you asked me. But some other interesting things are happening. We always talk about, people's rights and about doing the correct thing. It's morally right. And also making sure that manufacturers don't stumble on people or step on their feet for anything. I mean, nobody should be discriminated for race, religion, sexual orientation, color, creed, anything. They shouldn't. And that's what kind of brought this to my eyes. Apple has been, unfortunately, caught in enabling government censorship of the LGBTQ community. And I believe that's the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and there's a plus. I don't know what the plus is. Content. Most directly, 1,377 document cases of the app access restriction in 152 app stores around the world were reported by 9to5Mac. That is just sickening.
Yeah, that is weird. And you would think it'd be the other way around, where they're censoring people who's attacking that community, but instead they're actually enabling censorship of content.
They don't want it to get, and I think the reason is that they don't want that to get a bigger pie. See, I think what I've learned in the market research I've done for lots of things, in these different markets, there's obviously different economies. The LGBTQ community has a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And I think what they're afraid is that if it gets what it needs, it might overpower the other communities. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think it's going to get its fair shot. And I think there's people that are just, I don't want to use the word racist, but I guess what would be the word? Homophobic, I guess is the word for this. I guess that's kind of the same thing. It's very similar to what they talked about the guy on the boat. Don't talk about people by race, by color, and are you prejudiced? Well, what's that, Grandpa? And it's like, well, I don't know. It's when you think differently about something. Your friend Tommy, is he black? Is he white? What's his nationality? I don't know, Grandpa. I never really think about that. Does he have the same color skin? Well, yeah, he has a different color skin. Well, what color is it? I think it's black, or it's like a black. Okay, well, how does that make you feel? Well, it doesn't make me feel anything. Tommy's just my friend. You see, I don't know. My grandfather and your father, if he heard that, he'd be really upset with you. Yeah, Grandpa, but why? I mean, all I'm doing is being a friend with him. Yeah, but you're being friends with that type. What do you mean that type? Aren't you stereotyping, Grandpa? I mean, aren't you the one that's really being prejudiced? I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I think the same thing is happening here, Marcus.
Yeah.
But it's not come out of the closet as much.
Right.
And I think what I'm starting to see is it is starting to breach more. People are getting more confidence to do this. And so as that's happening, I think other people are getting nervous because now they're doing things that are against that community. And when you do that, I always say this, Marcus, regardless of what it is, whether it's the Muslim, the gay, white, black, doesn't matter what community it is. If you have a karma to go against that community, it's going to come back and bite you in the rear end.
Yeah, it's going to be more than just bad PR for you. It's going to be continuous onslaught against your company and your reputation. Sometimes it could be very irreparable, especially with such a very powerful community as this one.
Exactly, and I mean, some of these apps that they're blocking, they're blocking. They were blocking. Apparently, what I was reading, they're blocking very, let's say, respectable, newer dating apps. If you've ever used dating apps, not to get into that, but they're very cheesy and they're very bad. And they're only after one thing. And this is a G show. But the thing is, I feel that a lot of them are trying to cross the market because they're looking for the money. But then some of them don't want to put their reputation, just like the banks, Marcus, whether we're talking about the C Bank, the big bank with the D. I'm just giving you first letters, but you know what I'm talking about. The bank with the P, the bank with the B, or the bank with the M. All these big guys, or the F Bank. All these banks don't want to even grant businesses like this a merchant account.
Yeah.
And I think that's just despicable. But what they say, the reason I hear that they don't want to do it is they claim that every business is a risk. And if something goes south with that business, they're not willing to say that they helped an LGBTQ business get a loan. What if a straight business defaulted? Well, but that's okay. That's a risk. Well, what's the difference? Well, we don't want to be in the news because that could just that just could give our company a bad reputation. That's terrible, Marcus.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, it happened with several of the, again, still keeping it a G show, but it happened with several of the porn stars we read in the stories many, many years ago on front page of the news. They couldn't even get a bank account to get the money. Now, they weren't doing anything really wrong. They were just producing adult video and pictures, nothing else. And so the bank frowned upon that because of things that happened 20, 30, or 40 years ago. They literally closed people's bank accounts. What are they thinking, Marcus?
Yeah, it's a really, tough look, and it really makes us look bad as Americans, to know that this type of stuff is going on, and and it hasn't been reversed, or pushed back against enough to where we're stopped, even with
exactly
some of the gambling, businesses, they can get get loans, or get bank accounts. So it's really discriminatory out there, and it's really really bad.
It's very bad, and one of my friends had said something very interesting, is that they need a swift kick in the rear. But my other friend, something else, he says I think what I really need to do, or somebody else needs to do, and it's nice to say, need to go and rip him a new one. And I was like, well, that's a little script. He's like, yeah, but that's how I feel. I said, I get it, but you can't put your anger against it. No. You need to handle this in a diplomatic way, because see, if you do that, you're going to be playing into their hands. What happens when the little kid on the playground, I'm sure we've all had this, they pick on you, or you were the kid that picked on someone else. What happens when they pick on you and they press your buttons, right? What happens? You get upset, right? And you try to retaliate, or you fight back, or you get in trouble, and you're edging them on, and they keep doing it. What do you need to do? Ignore them. Ignore them. Because when you ignore them, they will go away. They will see that they're not bothering you. And I think the same thing's happening here, whether it's the gambling, the LGBTQ. People are just looking for something so they can get on board. I know people that they literally just want to find some way to harm somebody's business, regardless of what it is. They try to pull dirt on them. And what they try to do, Marcus, is find things that are not like other businesses. So they're not doing anything illegal, but they try to find something that makes them different. And I think, Marcus, one of the greatest things of America is the right to be different. I've said this many times on my own streams that I do on LinkedIn and whatnot, is that if you are not harming yourself or harming another person, that is success. You have no right, and I say a phrase which I'm going to share online for our viewers, and this is a great phrase to use. Large sums of money come to me easily and quickly in increasing amounts from multiple sources on a continuous basis. Now, listen to the last part. For the good of all that I get to keep. You see, you don't want to be making money if it's going to harm or hurt somebody. There's plenty of money out there for everybody. And so if you understand that and you believe that, and you also don't try to use money to hurt somebody or bribe somebody, You see, that's the difference. There's so many people that use it as a tool, but they don't respect the rest of their life. What do you think about that, Marcus?
Yeah, that's so true. And and just that that affirmation that you put out there, um, and when used properly, you can manifest just money that will definitely be used to good use. Um, and I think many people should adopt that.
I say that phrase all the time, and it can become part of you, but it doesn't happen in 24 hours.
No, it doesn't.
You have to make it part of you, and you have to put energy for it. People say to me, "Oh, John, I'm in debt. I don't have any money." I'm like, okay, I get it. So what you're doing is you're telling the universe, and I do a lot of motivational stuff. What you're doing is you're telling the universe that you want more debt. Okay, here we go. More debt for you, just for you. You asked for it. I'm serving it just for you. Well, I didn't want it. Well, you just told the universe want more debt. No, I didn't. You said I'm in debt. You said I can't get you just kept talking about debt. What you should be talking about is a payment plan to get out of it, and then the fact that you're already out of it, or the fact that you're already clear, or the fact that you are already abundant.
Right.
Oh. Well, how do I think like that? And I'll end with this, is that how do I think like that if I don't have any money? And I said to people, one of the best things you can do is to act as if, well, John, how do I spend millions of dollars if I don't have it? I get you. I hear you. I know what you're talking about. So I tell people to play. Playing is very powerful. When we were kids, we played. One of my most popular videos that I did for my motivational was called Play Like You're a Kid. And it's actually on John C. Morrow's Serial Entrepreneur YouTube channel. And there was bubbles, and we just took bubbles, and I said, you have to play like you're a kid. And if you do that, you'll get the goals like you did when you were a kid. You got everything you wanted when you were younger, mostly, right? So why did it change when you got older? Well, because you created those belief systems, where you started to allow other people to form in those belief systems to program you to what you don't want. And every time you don't say something and you accept something, your brain commits it. That's why if somebody ever says to me, says, John, I don't think, I had this other person said to me, well, John, you're not worth that amount of money. I said, I appreciate your opinion. And I understand it might be out of your budget. That's your opinion. And I also have lots of clients that are willing to pay this and more because they actually value the services that I provide to them. So I don't want to waste any more of your time. Goodbye. And so you have to have that attitude, Marcus. It's not being arrogant. It's just saying you don't want to take any BS. And so the thing when I'm telling you about act as if, I tell people you can get GNU Cash. You could use any free cash program. GNU Cash is a free program you could download online. It's an open source program. You can download it for free. And you could put in money in that. One of the magazines I subscribed to many years ago was called the Robb Report. Now, so they're not paying me anything to say this, but Robb Report is a very prestigious magazine that has all the higher end things you ever could want and buy. And it doesn't matter what you have, or you can just look at your magazine or what have you that you have. And so look at those things, but then create money in the bank account. What do you want to get paid? What are you getting paid now? Well, what would you like to see in your bank account? And what day would you like to get paid? On Friday, go in there, put that check in. What is it, 5,000? Is it 12,000? What do you want to see in your bank account on Friday? What do you want realistically? Put that as a deposit, you got paid. Well, John, I can't go to the bank and cash it. No, you can't, but you can still play with it. Be with me. Well, I don't get how this is going to help me. Just chill for a minute, okay? Just chill. So now what I want you to do is I want you to find those things. Well, you want a massage? You want to go find one of the best massages in your town and find out what it costs and put that on your calendar and schedule. Now I want you to figure out how to spend. Let's say you spend $100 a day. I want you to spend $1,000 a day on things that you're going to like and enjoy. And I want you to enjoy the process. John, this is crazy. Just do it for 30 days. People do this and are like, well, I didn't get the $1 million, but I tell you, my bank account increased. I said, yes, and it will continue to increase. You see, when you act from within, abundance is not having money. People think abundance is having money, and that means you're abundant. It's not. Abundance comes from within, okay? Exactly. And so when abundance has come within your body, okay, and you can say, yes, I'm abundant, I'm acting as if I'm abundant. I can buy whatever I want. It's the act of going to buy something. It's not the transaction of the cash or making the transaction. That's not it. You have to feel rich. So looking at that account, saying it is my bank account. Another thing I tell people to do is to go download the Law of the Universe check and write yourself a check. I did that the first time. It was the greatest thing I ever did. And I wrote a date on the check. Now, you can't cash it, but it's a check that you put in your wallet. So these are all things that can help you. So if you act as if you have it and you believe, your mind, you remember the famous story, Marcus, of the famous basketball player, right? Who practiced every single day. Yeah. And several of them practiced every single day, I should say. And then the other player didn't practice every day. He practiced in his mind. But you know something? He was just as good, if not better, than the people that practice every day.
Yeah.
Why was that? Well, because he was firing the same neurons in his brain. And that's what happened. You created more neuroplasticity. But there is a very good law. You might know the law, and I'm just going to share it with you real quick, and that'll be our last topic. We weren't even planning on talking about this today, but we just kind of go all their ways. But so there is a rule. You might have heard of it, and it is called neurons that fire together. Okay, you might have heard this. Wire together, and it's called. It's basically called the Hebb's law, and he actually says, and I'll quote it: cells that fire together, wire together. So two cells or systems of cells are repeatedly active at the same time will tend to become more associated. So when you keep doing things like what I'm sharing with you about your brain, about your body, and you keep doing things like this, other good things are going to start to happen. And you know what's really going to happen when you do this? Your reticular activating system, which is the fight or flight mechanism. It was never designed for success. It's going to start becoming attuned to things and opportunities that are going to draw in more abundance in your life. That's why, I like a white car. What's your favorite car, Marcus? Color?
Hey, I'm starting to like gray now. So
okay,
I
like gray before,
but I like gray now.
If I asked you, there's a lot of great cars on the road. I bet you tell me there's a lot of great cars, aren't there?
Yeah, I would tell you that.
There's a lot. Well, I'm going to tell you there's more white cars.
Yeah.
We're not really right or wrong.
No, we're not.
Because it's our perception, and I'm seeing more cars because I'm focusing on them.
Right.
That's why you're missing your goals in life. It's because you're so focused on debt or you're so focused on this, and you don't see the potential. Mm-hmm. So if you want to become abundant, don't worry about the money outside you. Worry about becoming abundant inside yourself and acting as if. And also being grateful for every little freaking penny that you get. That's the key, Marcus.
I love it, John. You definitely put that out there in just the correct way for people to receive it. I think people are going to run with that and just really take off now.
Yeah, and remember that thing that we said before, that little phrase. And that is, large sums of money come to me easily and quickly. In increasing amounts from multiple sources on a continuous basis for the good of all that I get to keep.
Yeah, we definitely got to, if you guys are listening, make sure you play that one back. And I'm definitely going to make sure I play it back so I can have it written down.
You want to do that, and it will help you. I can't tell you so much. I know we're just about out of time here, so I want to tell you that if you have an idea for a show, go over to jmor.com. Let us know. Again, it must be educational. It can't be a sales pitch. If you have a product you'd like us to unbox, let us know. Again, if you have a product and you want me to make your lemons out of lemonade, don't expect it, because I'm going to expose it for the true truth that it is. We had some products this week that got sent to us, and I told them that we're going to tell them the truth. And they're like, and I give things a true score. I don't give anything a 10, Marcus. I actually gave, you'll have to look, I gave a review for a light called Coast Light. And it was a LED light that I was able to stick to my ceiling, just literally my metal ceiling in the office. And it had a couple modes on it. And it was like under $30. And this light came with batteries. And it was 360 rotational. And it could stick to the ceiling, and it could go reverse, and it was just such a great light. And it come with batteries. You know what I gave that? I didn't give it a 10. I gave it a 9.5. Even though it was so great and had batteries. I wanted one more thing that they didn't do. I wanted it to tell me how many minutes and hours I had left on the battery in there. I want an LED screen to tell me how many minutes and hours I had left on my battery. And I would have loved it to be a rechargeable battery too.
Yeah, that would have made a difference.
So that's what gets a 10. So things don't get a 10 with me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. We need to bring this Friday to a close, or we'll be here all night, Marcus. So I'll say goodbye to everyone. Have yourself a very safe, healthy, happy weekend. And remember, the change that you want in your life will happen. Where you are today is because of what you did yesterday. If you want tomorrow to be better, change your thoughts today, and I promise you'll have a greater life tomorrow. And we'll be back, of course, next Friday night, same time. And also our pod is tomorrow, right? What time is our pod? Is it 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, you can watch our audio. But, of course, if you missed any of the episodes, feel free to go back to jmor.com. And after every episode, within 7 days, we usually transcribe the entire show. So we're like, hey, John, this is so much information. I know. Well, we're trying to make our site ADA compliant, and we're also making it easier so that Google can find us and so that you can go back and actually read the parts of the show. It's broken down by my name and Mark's name, so you can literally see when we speak, if there's guests. So it's really a great thing you can do, and it's all free. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the JMOR Weekly Technology Show, where we answer your questions about how technology is supposed to work and sometimes why you have challenges getting it to work that way. For more IT support and tips, just text IT support to 888-111. That's IT support to 888-111, and you'll get tips on technology. I'll see you next week right here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Remember, JMOR.com.